I'm Dan Watanabe.
And I'm Saran Fox. And this is Dan and Saran Take on Hollywood.
Today our guests are Michael Gonzalez and Richard Holdredge.
Welcome, guys. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And our mission today is to take apart movies that have won a major Academy Award. That's picture, actor, actress, maybe supporting actor, supporting actress, director, screenwriter, and maybe cinematographer. So, first of all,
It's a tall order, Dan. It's a very tall order. Because we got a lot to say, but we'll start with Best Picture, right?
We'll start with the Best Pictures. So, we'll start with you, Michael. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now and about the new show that you're working on?
Oh, yeah. Well, hopefully it's not a shameless plug.
Speaking of shameless plugs, don't forget to subscribe
see what I did there?
to the Unscripted Network and hit like.
Watch all our shows.
Subscribe,
Like and subscribe.
watch.
We
on
will
Facebook.
say that at least 7 times during this show because it was always said in radio that you must say a message 7 times for the audience to remember it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But me, right now I'm working at it's kind of hard to explain, but it's a company that basically owns 3 different websites. One of the websites is Uprocks, the other one is HitFix. Those are the kind of their big 2. And what I do is just help them either film some of the videos and stuff that they like to do, which is very like BuzzFeed-esque. It's kind of what they do. Very recently, I was approached to write one of those shows for them, or kind of create one, if you will. Yeah.
Details?
Well, basically, I thought it was funny that this doesn't exist in the world. I don't know how this didn't exist yet, but basically taking the concept of like Mystery Science Theater, like where you heckle, a movie or whatever, but you take that but for trailers. So basically, bringing it into the digital age of like your 2-3 minutes, and then you just make fun of whatever trailer that happens to be.
Can you remind us of what that website is?
That's a good question. I don't know which one it's going to end up on, but it will either be Uprocks or HitFix. Most likely HitFix, but it will be one of the 2.
Mocking, one of our favorite things.
Yeah.
Yes.
So satire, and it's the same thing where it's 2 silhouettes sitting down in the dark, and then the trailer's projected up, and then we make fun of
awesome.
the trailer. Yeah.
Do you have a robot?
No, I'm trying to get that in the budget.
Watch it, yeah, because
I'm trying to.
But if you do that, you might run into a copyright issue.
I know.
Really.
For right now,
Don't
it's
want to
just,
brand it too much.
right
Well, keep
now,
us
it's
informed
just,
of the and when we can
Of
watch
course.
them.
No, totally.
Richard, what's going on with you?
Well, I taught history of motion pictures for the first time this spring.
Where?
So here at Valley College,
great.
and it was a whole total new preparation for me. When they first suggested I take it, I said, I took my history of motion pictures in 1965, so there's twice as much history since then. They said, don't worry, we only teach to the 80s. So I thought, okay. So I realized, I went home and looked at my library of history of film books, which was substantial, most of which I'd never read. So I finally used them as a resource and collected them, and I brought a couple.
So you learned
today.
as much as your students.
Oh, sure, yes,
Yeah.
I'm learning along the way. Yeah.
No, he went to USC, so he's a walking encyclopedia because that's what
Sure.
USC graduates.
Yes.
You were the history and criticism guy. I was a production guy, so you remember all this stuff.
Really. Dan's got that brain. Well, why don't we start talking about the best films that we disagree with? The ones we hated, the ones we thought were cheesy, the ones that were political. Undeserving. Thank you. Would you like to start, Michael?
Sure. I'll throw out one of my more infamous ones that I don't understand how this happened, but it did. It's the Academy. Shakespeare in Love. Over Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, this is oh God, we're in for a fight.
That
We're in
made
for a fight.
no sense to me whatsoever. But
Okay.
I'm crazy. What do I know?
No. You're with a lot of people agree with you, and I'm on the other side.
Oh, so
Because
you
I
did-
think
okay, so
Shakespeare
you
in
did
Love
like
was a
it.
more successful film.
Oh,
And
okay.
it completely 100% did what it was supposed to do. It paid everything off. And Saving Private Ryan had so many problems. So many problems. But we can get into that later. Continue. So that's like your number one.
That's the one that's one of those that I don't understand.
You don't understand.
It's just one of those things like, okay, maybe. Another good one is Dances with Wolves, over Goodfellas, in 1990. I really, really love Goodfellas. Like that's one of my favorite all time. Like I love. It's a great cast. It's a great story. The ending is amazing. It shows taking this guy and then tearing him down and then it's great.
I think that the reason that happened is that Hollywood was still mad at Martin Scorsese.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Because they really have a yin against Scorsese,
Well,
it seems like sometimes.
Like Old Buildings and Horrors, he became respectable when he got older. But when you look at where he came from and the fact that he had such a huge career, in spite of the fact that Hollywood kept trying to get him, and they kept denying him awards, even when he would make really bad movies in order to win Best Director, like Age of Innocence. You saw him really throwing everything in order to get that validation.
Well,
but the reason that they hated Goodfellas, that Hollywood hated Goodfellas, is because it knocked one of their insider favorites, which was The Godfather. Because what Goodfellas was, is it's, wow, these people watched The Godfather and decided that they wanted to have that same kind of grace that Marlon Brando had. And you see them going around and killing people and doing all this other stuff, and you realize that they'd just been truck drivers, they would have made more money.
Well, you know, speaking about Scorsese, in 1980, an inferior film based on a reasonably entertaining book, Ordinary People, beat Raging Bull, one of the greatest films of all time.
Right.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
That makes no sense.
It's sentimental.
Well,
Richard, what do you have to say? What is your thought on that?
Well, I thought it's probably Robert Redford's clout that got that.
and it was his first movie as a director.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that
So they were
probably-
patting him on the head.
I would think so.
And it had the Goodwill Hunting. It's not your fault moment, right?
Well, also, it
Right,
did that
and
other
the-
thing that
And the
movies-
Jewish therapist and the whole deal. Yeah.
It also did the other thing that movies of the week always do, which is that you have an actress who's known for doing comedy
Right.
do a dramatic
Mary
part.
Tyler Moore
Yes.
did very, very well. I mean,
Actually, no. If you watch her performance today, and then you watch that performance a year later of Faye Dunaway in Mommy Dearest, you realize there's not that much of a difference in those
I
performances.
knew we'd get around to Joan Crawford.
But
It
she
wouldn't
got a
take
lot
long.
of bravery points for
She
the
got a lot of bravery points, but if you think about that scene when she refuses to have her picture taken with him, or that scene when she gets the waffles and she starts stuffing them down the disposal,
Yeah.
it's like not all that different from no wire hangers ever.
Yeah, I think she was Mary Richards. She was
Yeah.
Laura Petrie. So everybody kind of appreciated her taking a chance and playing this mother. And the theme of Ordinary People is very powerful. It's very moving, and the loss of a child, which any parent can relate to.
Again, movie of the week stuff. It could have been
It
Sally
is
Struthers.
movie of the week. And when Donald Sutherland decided to leave her, it was like yes.
But look at what also that was. That was another in the long line of movies that said, look at how terrible mothers are.
Oh,
It-
Kramer
it's-
versus Kramer.
Yes, it was that era.
That's right,
That
year
was the
before.
era of monster mothers. You had Kramer versus Kramer. You had Ordinary People. You had Mommy
Mommy
Dearest.
Dearest.
You had Terms of Endearment. I mean, it was one bash against woman after another.
But denying Scorsese the Best Picture Oscar for Raging Bull.
That's
Yeah. And now, did he win Best Director at some point? Departed? What did they
Yes.
yes, for Departed.
Again,
Finally.
Which I think is an inferior film.
It, which
is.
wasn't that,
Yeah.
it was okay. It wasn't that
Well,
great.
the Chinese
It was,
original's better.
Yeah, much better. Richard, any of your favorites or unfavorites?
I don't have one, so I'll just have to piggyback on your comments because I don't have a big one that
You don't have a big one you think was unfair or undeserved?
not right now. I haven't done all my homework.
Oh,
on
you
it,
haven't
so-
done all your... Okay, what are some of your favorites that won?
yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I even have a list that won, but I
Yeah.
can tell you some of my favorite films that drive my wife crazy.
Okay. Oh,
That's good.
That's good. That's
And
good.
every good husband needs to have movies that will drive his wife
That's right.
crazy.
Absolutely. Whether she gets up and leaves the room. Can't take
Okay,
it.
I can't. And they're films that if I see them on TV, I will always sit down and watch no matter
Okay,
where
yeah,
they are.
yeah.
Groundhog Day is one of them.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
So
Yes, that
good.
should have won
That's
an
a
Oscar
monster.
for something.
Actually,
That's a
I think-
monster masterpiece.
I
Yes.
think Groundhog Day actually doesn't go too far enough with the character because they bring him to the point where he's like master of everything and gets the girl. But I want to see more character development beyond that when you kind of say, okay, you don't really have to have everything perfect in life. You can still go
Yeah.
along and adapt to it. But
Well,
we-
maybe they should have been stuck there another day or
Maybe we need
something.
a
Something
sequel
else
for it.
happened.
Yes,
yeah.
right.
Yeah, but you know that Groundhog Day is it's a faith-based movie. It's considered a faith-based movie,
Yes.
although they didn't set out to make it that way. There are three kinds of faith-based movies: miracle movies, the kid falls from a tree and is cured from leukemia; biblical and quote spiritual ones that have a message that wasn't intended. I don't think Harold Ramis intended to make this film faith-based, but it is shown in churches and
Yes.
spiritual groups
Sure.
because it's showing about the power of redemption, and there's no preaching.
Right.
You know that the audience is free to get whatever
Yeah.
message
I
they
still
want.
don't have the magic number about how many days are portrayed in it, but what I
Oh,
thought,
yeah.
I heard Rama say it's something like close to 1,000 was considered.
Oh wow! Oh, well, what,
Jeez.
and what are other movies that drive your wife crazy?
Oh, well, let me think. That's the
We are going
main.
to send this to Rosa.
That's the
Yeah.
main one, and
Yeah.
the one that I always have to sit down and watch is Love Actually.
Wow, people, I really didn't like that movie. It's so interesting. I love the music, but I
Uh-huh.
didn't like the movie.
Okay.
I liked Four Weddings and a Funeral. I think that
Okay.
Richard Curtis,
yeah.
that his career went downhill after that. He did Notting Hill and a couple of other things. But why did you love Love Actually?
I just like the intertwining of the characters and the great fantasies that he evokes, like the guy going to Milwaukee and visiting
Yeah.
America.
It did have some nice stories in it. I liked the Laura Linney story, and I thought the unfaithful husband, Alan Rickman, and Emma Thompson,
Yes.
that was very powerful movie.
And
I
I like the guys that were the seconds in the soft porn movie.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
He's always so excited that she'll say yes to go out with him.
Yes, yeah, it had nice moments. One of the things that really bothered me as a mother was Liam Neeson encouraging his little boy to have this romance with this girl. I thought it was ridiculous. You know, it was just he was way too young, and it just didn't. And Michael's nodding.
Yeah,
It didn't
I can
seem
see
right.
that. Yeah,
Well,
I
getting
can see
back,
that.
Dan, to certain undeserved Oscar winners. Let's go to you now.
Yeah.
There's so many.
I know.
I mean, and in a world of movies like The Greatest Show on Earth and The Great Ziegfeld, it's hard to pick one that just really kind of sums up everything that's wrong with the Academy Awards. But I have to say that the one that really probably bothers me the most in terms of its profile and all that was The Deer Hunter.
Oh my God. Okay.
I know that's a controversial one, but think about more how the politics of The Deer Hunter were played that got it the best picture, not necessarily the fact that the movie has more fanciful stuff in it than Star Wars could ever dream of having, like a guy being a Russian roulette champion. I'm sorry, that's not something you get to be a champion at. It's not something you can practice like an Olympic sport. And secondly, at the end of it, you have Robert De Niro somehow, when the CIA couldn't do it, sneaking into Cambodia in order to rescue him. We don't have any scenes of that. And yet that movie won Best Picture. And the way they did it was genius. By the way, that's all covered in this book, which is unfortunately out of print. But this was back in that era before the publicists got a hold of everything. So books were actually written about really scandalous stuff, and they talk about how that won. And it was genius. First of all, they knew that this movie had no chance of getting anything because the Vietnam War was still very close. It had only been over for about
And it
3
was
years.
long. It was a
long movie. So they decided, geniusly, to take all of its negatives and make them positives. So what they did is, first of all, they set it up in the Academy screening. So this was before home video. So they didn't send out cassettes or anything. So they set the screening at a theater that was far. Secondly, they didn't give free passes. Thirdly, they told everyone it's the most important movie you will ever see, which already will turn half of Hollywood off. It's like, we've seen enough important movies, we don't need to see another one. Then you tell them it's 3 hours. Then you tell them that it's got a wedding scene that lasts an hour. And then as the icing on the cake, you say, you get to see Robert De Niro's schwanz in it. And so if
When?
anything else would have turned off your average audience, that would do it. And so the movie was not even in general release. So it was shown in this one theater in LA. They sent out the ballots. Everyone was guilted into voting for it because if they didn't vote for this most important movie ever, they were just, déclassé.
Okay, so you mentioned your problems with it, and we know that film can give us the most improbable situations, and we suspend disbelief because of the execution. And for me, now I was very pregnant with my second child when I saw it, so I was hormonally deranged and cried at the drop of a hat. But I had a moment when De Niro tries to get, is it John Savage, to come home from the hospital?
Yep.
And he's saying, come on home, we'll take care of you. And he doesn't want to. He wants to live in that world, that he's been so damaged by the war that I burst into tears and was sobbing. And when you have that moment in a movie, you become kind of attached to it. Plus, De Niro never looked better. I mean, he was so hot in this movie. He's a great
And
actor.
how can you not remember his running around naked in it?
I don't remember. I was mad for my husband. I
But it
was
was still
pregnant.
hot.
I don't know. But also the Meryl Streep's performance, where you say that girl. You know, who's that girl?
Yeah, who's that girl who's going to torture us for the next 30-something years?
Oh well, whatever. You know, have you seen the Florence Foster Jenkins movie?
Not yet.
I think we should have a field trip to see that. It's your kind of movie. Yeah. Campy. It's campy. All right.
That's a definition.
I'm gonna chime in here. Greatest Show on Earth, I think, was a '52 film. Before I talk about Greatest Show on Earth, I want to talk about another Greatest Show on Earth, a great network. Like and subscribe to the Unscripted Network, Quiet on the Set, which is an awesome variety show. Our program. There are other podcasts. Please,
Including the one from Michael, and tell us about yours again, the 2 stations that you've got.
your nerdy show.
Hitfix and Uprocks.
Yes, but also,
.com.
are you still doing your nerd podcast?
That has been put on hold for these things
That you're doing. You're too big. He's so busy he can't do this awesome
No,
podcast about
no.
nerdy games and boy things, all those boy things. So like and subscribe. Greatest Show on Earth, 1952. Cecil B. DeMille. It was Betty Hutton and James Stewart as a clown.
Cornel
Cornel Wilde, and Jimmy Stewart had killed someone, and he
Charlton
was
Heston.
hiding in the circus, and Charlton Heston is the boss of the circus. And it's the cheesiest damn film, and it won Best Picture because of the spectacle. And I'm going to read.
But it had Gloria Graham in it. How can you not love a movie
I
with
love
Gloria Graham?
That's
It beat 52. It beat High Noon, Ivanhoe, Moulin Rouge, and The Quiet Man. And there must have been, DeMille's people must have just run that publicity machine.
No.
Well, why do you think it won?
Everyone was voting against High Noon because of its topic,
oh,
because it was
yeah.
Hollywood tenure.
Yeah.
And I guess that everybody thought that, well, we'll just vote for Greatest Show on Earth 'cause it's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Not thinking it would actually win, and then it won.
Oh my God.
But then again, would you rather it had been Moulin Rouge?
No. No, I want to talk about
Come Back, Little Sheba should have won Best
how
Picture, but it wouldn't
85
have been
out
nominated.
of Africa. I love the music from Out of Africa, and I thought the performances were great. And that scene in the airplane where Redford and that John Barry's music, it's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
But it beat, I think, the best picture of the year, which was Witness.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Out of Africa's on, you're not going to watch it. You saw it once, that's it.
Yeah,
Great
that's one of
movie. I'll listen to I bought the music. But when Witness is on, whatever it is, if I'm channel surfing, I will watch it till the end.
Okay.
You know, that beautiful, that love story, the eroticism of the unfulfilled,
Yes.
how sexy when people aren't naked, is, or having sex, how sexy that is.
Right.
That the longing between these two people, the growing love, I mean, it's a great story, beautifully plotted. And the music is just brilliant in that barn raising scene, right in the middle, which gives you the sense of the community and the music, how important music is. I think it was the best film of '85.
And Kelly McGillis.
Oh my God.
Look at her in that. She
She was
parlayed
so
that
beautiful.
into Top Gun, and then what happened to her?
She became a lesbian and got ugly.
Yeah.
Not that they're connected, necessarily, to all our gay friends out there. But, she didn't age well. She didn't age well at all. Then Crash, which showed us the real story of LA, right?
That is a good
Whoa.
one. That's up on the board.
It's up
I
on the
actually
board?
mentioned,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
That was a winner?
Yes, that
That won Best
2006.
Picture of
Yep.
2000. Yep.
God.
Yep.
Oh, I hated that.
Yeah, no, why did you hate it?
It just left me with such a bad feeling in it. It seemed very manipulative.
Right.
And,
And not reflective of the truth that this is not what life in LA is like. People.
It was a film made by outsiders, trying and looking into LA and this is what's
It
LA.
was Manhattan people.
Yeah,
maybe.
and
Well,
that's
it's Paul,
what it
wasn't
felt
it Paul
like.
Haggis? Isn't he a because he wrote $1 Million Baby. I mean, he's a talented guy.
Yes, but I feel like the people surrounding the movie, not the
Yeah,
writer
yeah.
per se, but the producers and that they were doing this. They were
Yeah,
and
oh,
it's
we're
just
gonna make a
the
statement.
wrong strings. They were pulling the wrong strings, and I didn't like that.
So it's like the New Yorkers who come out here and say, "Oh, you
Yeah.
you don't have any blah blah." I said, "Well, no, we're
Yeah,
not New York."
Exactly.
You say you have to get in
Yeah.
your car and you have to find LA.
Yeah.
LA is a mystery. LA is layered. New York is right there in your face.
Yep.
They come out here and they complain. Meanwhile, it's 0 degrees and we're wearing shorts, right? So, yeah, no,
Exactly.
it's true. But what it did
There's a
was,
reason that for every 22 people who move to LA, only one goes back to New York.
oh yeah, who goes back to New York? I mean, I don't know anybody who went back to New York. You know, I never would.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved living in New York, but I
But to
couldn't have
snow
been living
and-
here.
Well, at least it no
Cold.
longer looks like it did in the Warriors.
Yeah, really. Although, well, we won't get into that. So, Crash. Well, what it tried to show was this huge separation between the ethnic groups when there's so much intermarriage
Yeah.
and
It's not like
living
that.
together. It's not like that. Of course, there are incidents, but in general, it's not like that. And then we have Sandra Bullock's very. Didn't she play a housewife who was very prejudiced, and she had to learn to love her Mexican maid or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, really. So Crash is a big one, and I put them in green.
And if-
I put Kramer versus Kramer beat Breaking Away, which I thought was a much better film.
It also beat Apocalypse Now.
And Apocalypse Now, and all that jazz, and even Norma
please.
Ray.
Oh, that's
Well,
not
that's
that
fine.
good either.
That's okay that it beat that one. But Apocalypse Now, it's
Yeah,
it
it's
should-
bad that it beat Apocalypse Now.
And The Sting beat American Graffiti.
Sting is okay.
The Sting is
The
okay.
Sting holds
Okay,
up really
I'm looking
well.
here. Greatest Show on Earth. Okay, Sound of Music beat Darling.
That's a good thing. Have you tried to watch?
You can't watch Darling. No, you can't.
I mean,
I think
outside
that
of
was
that one great line in it, everyone was so in all at once. Other than that, it has nothing.
Really? It does not even her, not even Julie Christie's
Well,
performance.
she won Best Actress, and she deserved it.
Yeah, she was wonderful.
Oh, but I love the greatest line. Put away your penguin, Freud.
Yes. Well, Frederick Raphael, at his best, was one of the great screenwriters.
Yes, he
in
was a great
Hollywood.
novelist too.
And unfortunately, most of his movies end up looking awful because of when they were made. Like his best screenplay was probably Two for the Road, but it was shot by Stanley Donen.
Oh, God.
And it looks like it was a TV movie from that era. It's very bright. It's very ugly. It's very
Lots of
Panavision.
zooms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In 1944, Going My Way beat Double Indemnity and Gaslight.
Well, Going My Way is one of the ones that I really wanted to have on my list at the top because it's the kind of sentimental mushmelon movies that people look at Hollywood and say, this is the kind of crap they used to make in the old days, and this is why I don't like old movies. Because you've got this kind of heartwarming stuff that makes you feel like you're on the verge of diabetic coma. like when Bing Crosby is talking to Barry Fitzgerald, who was nominated both for Best Actor and Best Supporting Actor for the same movie, and they gave it to him for Best Supporting Actor. He had to
sure,
sing
we got that.
He had to sing Turalura Lura,
Yeah,
and that scene goes on and on and on.
yeah, and it's like the Jolly Priest and and it was and then it was so treacly. But let's go to 1939, and I'm going to read the nominated films, and this was probably one of the greatest years.
You
in
dare
Hollywood.
say you don't think Gone with the Wind should have won Best Picture? You are.
No, I've got it in pink. And pink. Okay, Gone with the Wind beat Dark Victory, which is one of Bette Davis's greatest films. Goodbye, Mr. Chips with the wonderful Robert Donat. Love Affair. Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Ninotchka with the awesome Greta Garbo. Of Mice and Men. Stagecoach. The Wizard of Oz. And Wuthering Heights. Heathcliff.
Well, it's okay. If it beat
Those, how many
Heights, it's fine.
nominees were there?
Well, they had
That was the last year until recently when you could have more than 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no. 1, 2.
Was it 9?
No. They stopped in like 44 was the first year, actually, was the first year. But before that, and Mickey Rooney was nominated for a number of Oscars and should have won, because here's a story. Someone once asked Laurence Olivier, Sir Lawrence, outside of you, who is the greatest actor of the 20th century? And he said, Mickey Rooney. He said, and I'm serious. He said, you just watch him perform. He can, not only that, he can sing, he can dance, he can move.
And play drums.
And play drum. Oh, he's a brilliant actor.
Yeah.
He's, brilliant, absolutely. And he was nominated for the Human Comedy, and I think for Boys Town, and
Babes in Arms.
Babes in Arms.
I
Yeah.
liked him in Midsummer Night's Dream.
Oh, wasn't he wonderful as Puck? Oh, he was just awesome. So we have this list. It happened when I cavalcade. Okay, do you have any more, Mr. Dan?
Oh, Cavalcade was another one, but Cavalcade at least has the excuse of being an early talkie. So, but it's one that even though it exists on home video, it didn't need to, because it's multi-generation. So it has a lot of fascinating elements, and it's based on a Noel Coward play. So it really should have been good, but it's one of those that you realize is parodied in all of those movies about the early day of talkies, where everyone is talking into the plants.
and they shoot everything like this.
and it
It's
go
a master,
forever.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. The Great Ziegfeld. It beat Dodsworth. Mr. Deeds Goes to Town. San Francisco.
The Great Ziegfeld is one of the great bad movies.
Yeah.
It's right up there with Greatest Show on Earth.
Was William Powell? Did he play?
Yeah.
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 I'm a very,
And
very.
that also-
that's the saving grace of that film.
Well, that's also one with the infamous bad Best Actresses. Because
Louise Rayner?
because
Yeah.
she wins for that, and the next year she wins for Good Earth,
Yeah.
where she plays a Chinese woman. That alone makes me
Yeah,
nuts.
really.
But in The Great Ziegfeld, she has this scene where, for years, MGM in publicity would say that this is what they teach all their actresses to do, is the telephone scene when she's talking to him and finding out he married Billy Burke, who in real life, of course, went on to be Glinda the Good Witch in Wizard of Oz. And she's on the phone going, "Oh, Flo, I'm so happy." And it's this performance that would be hard pressed to make it through the elementary school equivalency degree in the drama school. You know, it's very, very on the surface. And same in The Good Earth. She's a very surface actress.
And then she disappeared.
Yep.
I don't think she could get work anymore. Oh, did she retire?
Well, Mayer and she got into a fight because
Oh.
she apparently forgot who was cutting the checks, which really wasn't Mayer, it was Edmund Lowe in New York. But she said the wrong thing to Mayer, and Mayer was like, "Ta-ta,
Yeah.
honey."
Really? Yeah. He was something else. Forrest Gump.
Yes.
Okay.
Over Pulp Fiction. That's another one that I can't understand.
Well, and
Don't you dare.
no,
Peanut
wait a minute.
Gallery,
Wait a minute.
don't you
No,
dare.
no, it wasn't. It was. Oh no, you're right. You're right.
Yes,
Hold
they
They were
on.
in the
Pulp Fiction.
same year.
Yep, 94.
I'm looking here.
Yes, Pulp Fiction is 22 years old.
My God.
Yes, Pulp Fiction and Four Weddings and a Funeral, one of my favorite films.
Yep.
And The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah,
beat
it was the
Shawshank.
it was the same year. It was Pulp Fiction, Shawshank,
Okay.
and Forrest Gump. And Forrest
Well,
Gump
it's
won.
it's that sentimental side of voters, you know.
Well, also, again, one of the other things that if you're one of the ways to guarantee you'll win an Academy Award is to play someone who's got a mental deficiency.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you had Johnny Belinda, you've got
Rain Man.
Rain
you've
Man.
got Charlie,
Infamous one, yep.
you've
Rain
got
Man.
Rain Man, and all of them have managed to win the person a Best Actor award for a performance that's really not that different from Take That Away and Mommy Dearest.
Well,
Very broad.
The thing about in Rain Man, you know, my husband pointed out that the one who should have won was Tom
Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, because he had to change.
Yeah.
And while Hoffman was amazing,
Right.
he's the same.
He's the one who went through the arc.
Yeah, he had a character
He had
arc,
a
he had
character
development,
arc, yeah.
and he had to respond to him. And he, you know, I think he's, what he's doing with his career now, I don't know what he's doing, but Jerry Maguire, this film, you know, he showed himself. And
He's basically just making Mission Impossibles now. That's
Yeah,
his thing.
and he's-
That's what he's
That's
doing.
okay. God bless someone who's in their 50s and can
Yeah,
still do
he's
Mission
still doing
Impossible.
Mission Impossible.
Although
that's fine.
I
And that's fine.
heard,
You
I
get
heard
tons
that
of
he
money.
stopped
That's
doing Botox and he looks 10 years older. So, there you go. And The English Patient, okay. The English Patient,
The anti-Casablanca.
the Anti-Casablanca, okay. It's split down the middle. It had two stories. It had that silly Ray Fiennes and what's her name?
Yeah.
Kristen, what's her face?
Kristen Scott
And then it had a very interesting story with Juliette Binoche and
Willem Dafoe.
and Willem Dafoe, and I don't even remember it. All I know is I'm a big romantic. However, there's a line in the sand for me. These two people barely knew each other, lusted after each other. She had this really nice husband. She breaks her husband's heart and goes off with this guy. She doesn't even decide to have an affair with him and then maybe tire of him. She decides this is the love of her life. They barely know each other. And, you know, we've all been there, and it's all baloney, right? And then they go off and they trek, what is it, their plane crashes, and it's just odd. You know, we're supposed to believe this great love that's based on nothing.
So you're
Based
saying
on a
that,
trick.
yeah.
Yes. What was the... I've mercifully forgotten it, the details, but I do
Well,
remember...
at the end of it, him going back to try to rescue her
Yeah.
when she's already dead
Yeah.
causes all these other people to die. So it's really about selfish people who are more into getting some nookie than into saving saving a whole
and
village.
it was
So
about nookie. It was not about real love of people who really knew each other and went. You know, it wasn't about real adult love. It was like two teenagers. It was like Romeo and Juliet, which when you look at it is 15 and 14, right? and they're madly in. No, they weren't. They were
Yeah,
infatuated.
but they had the decency to die.
Yeah, thank you. And didn't kill anybody else.
Yeah,
although
they didn't kill
that's-
anybody else.
No,
to
the
cause
Yeah.
stage is
purpose.
littered with bodies at
That's
the end.
true. That's true.
But that's why Nicholas Nickleby, in the 12-hour show of it, there's that wonderful moment when you realize what they would really do in stage plays, which is change the endings. And Romeo and Juliet somehow has a happy ending.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, we can highly recommend the 12-hour Nicholas Nickleby
Yes.
with Roger Rees. Is it on? Where can you get
It's
it?
on DVD,
It's on DVD. Awesome, awesome, awesome. It was on TV, what, about 30 years ago?
1982.
1982. And oh my God, it was like several nights in a row on PBS or whatever
Was
it was.
there a
Oh, it's-
9-hour version as well, or was
No.
it 12 was the magic number?
yeah, it's awesome.
I saw it on the stage 4 times.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's
really
absolutely
good.
brilliant. Roger Rees, he was absolutely. Now, getting back to our argument, our fist fight about Shakespeare in Love. And, okay, now let me
full
ask
circle.
you
on
a
back.
question.
Yes.
And as you know, we want everyone to know that Michael and I are very fond of each other.
Very.
But right now, not too, because
If you want to see how this,
No, hang
how
on a
this
sec.
works out, remember to like and
like and
subscribe.
subscribe to see us, converse
That's
and argue and discuss.
fifth time, so
but
we got
in
2 more.
but in the end, we all get together and like in Never on Sunday, we all go to the beach.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That thing. Now they all went to the beach. Saving Private Ryan.
Yes.
Is it because it's military? Because it's about World
See,
War II?
that's okay. See, I will freely admit, yes, because
'Cause you're former military.
I am former military, that it does strike a chord. I
Okay.
understand that, but at the same time, I did give Shakespeare. I did give it a fair chance. I did watch it. I did try, and I just can't. I just can't.
It's got Gwyneth Paltrow.
I know.
How can
Being
anyone watch
so-
it with Gwyneth Paltrow?
That is. I'm supposed to believe. Okay, I'm supposed to believe that is Shakespeare's muse. I am supposed to believe that is the love of it. No, sorry.
Okay, so I loved her in it. I think that she should
Can't.
stop being an idiot
I
and
can't do it.
act again, because I
Yeah.
think she's a great actress. First time I ever saw her was in a 1993 film called Flesh and Bone with James Caan and Dennis Quaid and Meg
Which is
Ryan.
a good.
Very good film,
Yeah.
very dark.
film.
And she comes on the screen, and you're watching her, and you say those 3 words. Said it about Julia Roberts and Mystic Pizza. I turned to my kids and said, "Who's that girl?" They said, "Who is that?"
Yep.
She blew Meg Ryan out of the water. She's a really great actress. I
Well-
think, yes, I think that for me, Saving Private
Like
Ryan,
willowy naifs.
willowy name is I believe that, of course, the D-Day, the Normandy invasion, is one of the great battle scenes. Although I think Band of Brothers did it even. No, it did a great job. It did a great job. Okay, I think it's phony and hollow. This whole thing of his, I had an idea how to end it, because it opens up with there's a scene where the car is going up to the mother's house and to tell her sons have died,
Right.
and now this kicks everything off. They have to go find Private Ryan,
Right.
and then we see him as an old man with that awful makeup in the cemetery.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me I'm a good man. Oh, that's Spielberg making us
Well,
feel
yeah,
things.
no,
But I
I
also
will admit that
think,
too.
and then I want to hear from you, that the ending should have been not tell me I'm a good man, but they should have replicated the car going to the mother's house. She hears the engine. She's washing dishes. She's petrified he's dead. My last kid is dead. She opens the door and you have the mother and child reunion, because that was the point of the movie.
Okay, yeah. No, that
but
would've
this
been-
whole
that would've been
thing,
a better ending. Yes, I would agree on
Of course,
that.
but they didn't consult me. Now I want to know. Sometimes I
She's
feel
she's
I
on
should be in the
speed
room.
dial. You should be on speed
Before
dial.
they give the green light, I should be sitting there in the story
No,
conference.
I agree. That's a better ending. I will
Okay,
give you that.
All right. Now, but seriously, tell me why you think it was better.
Because if you've ever read something like Catch-22,
Mm-hmm.
and then you've actually been in the military, it exemplifies the absurdity of being in the military and all the things that you have to put up with that the general public will never know or never see because you're not in it. It's just one of those things. If you're not in it, you don't understand. And that's part of it's perfectly exemplifies that. Like this ridiculous notion of like, we have to go sacrifice how many people to go get this? No, what?
Yes,
No.
I understand. And this,
That's
this, ladies and
part of
gentlemen,
it.
and Dan Watanabe, it shows you how subjective the movie-going experience can be. Because for me, Shakespeare in Love was very, very meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite films for a number of reasons. I worked in the theater, and it replicated what it's like to work in the theater.
Right.
Exactly. Backstage. You know, Ben Affleck was awesome. He comes in, he says, "What is the play? Where's the play? What is my part?" You know, it just and the thing of, I don't know, it's a mystery. What's his name? Jeffrey Rush, who won an Oscar. I thought that it accomplished everything it set out to do. Also, speaking personally about a relationship that I had with someone I loved very deeply, who we were very much in love, and that it was under certain circumstances and yada yada. So I very much personally, subjectively identified with those two characters. So you're talking about your identification with the military part, and I'm
Yes.
talking about the theater
Yes.
and the relationship. And I also think, well, the music too, the ending where he's writing Twelfth Night, where and when she goes off, I just think they accomplished everything they set out to do, and gave a complete picture of a semi-tragic love affair and life in the theater.
Right.
And it was also very funny. And also, at one point, Jeffrey Rush, or one of them, says that he's talking to someone, and he says, the show must, and he goes, go on. And it doesn't feel manipulative. So I think it was a more successful film. But it's so interesting that we come at it from our own personal experience and prejudices and likes and dislikes. So anyway, that's where we are. Do you have an opinion? Of course you do.
On Shakespeare in Love?
Yeah. Go
I think
ahead.
it's a nice little costume picture, not all that different from something like Life with Father or one of these other movies that's based on a Broadway show that's kind of ossified and very nice.
Okay.
It's very pretty.
I love Judi Dench as the queen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, she was awesome, right?
Yeah.
What, did you like the film?
I did.
Yes.
I did.
Why did you like it?
I just got, like you, caught up in the whole environment of it, and I was curious about in the Globe Theater and seeing what that was like. And of course, my lasting image is of her escaping the shipwreck and ending up on the shore. And I still want to know what happens next.
Yes, absolutely. Very important. What happens next?
But didn't you want Ethel Merman to come out and singing "There's no business like show business"?
That would have been awesome, because that's what it is. It's a show business. It's actually a show
A
business.
medieval version of
Yeah,
Ethel.
Show
medieval,
business
yeah.
film. You know what? I don't think was Meet Me in St. Louis. It wasn't nominated, was it? It's one of the
It might
great-
have been nominated.
It's one of the. I have a list here.
And sadly, Vincente Minnelli,
Never
the
won.
director of, I think he won for Gigi.
Did he?
Yeah.
I didn't do a best director list. Wait, 45,
Gigi's 58. Well, 40.
I know.
Meet Me
No,
in
I'm
St. Louis
looking
is
here.
44.
44. No, Double Indemnity, Gaslight, Since You Went Away, Wilson. Oh dear God!
Oh,
No,
well,
the
no.
Academy's in love
Okay,
with.
okay. Here's what
Alexander
happened with
Knox.
Wilson.
Oh my God.
That with Wilson, Darryl F. Zanuck loved that movie, and so the entire Fox voting block was told, you must vote for this film. And Zanuck was offended, personally offended, when Wilson didn't win. And I can tell you right now that Wilson's one of those movies that is impossible to see, and it should stay that way.
Yes, Alexander Knox.
Oh, okay, yes.
Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sort of.
he had a fleeting career. Okay, Dan, continue. I know you've got more that you want to talk about. Titanic. Let's talk about Titanic.
Oh, I was waiting for that one. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yep, okay, well,
Go ahead.
when I saw Titanic, I was in a theater with my friend Wendy, and we actually saw it at the TV Academy. And she and I were sitting in this theater that was packed with all these other industry people. And I don't know quite how this happened, but she and I saw a different movie from everyone else in the theater.
Oh, right,
Because
right.
they were all sitting there sobbing and loving it, and she and I were getting ready to run up there and tear the screen up. Because, I mean, I didn't think it was possible to make a worse version of Titanic than The Unsinkable Molly Brown.
Absolutely.
I mean, it was far worse than the Barbara Stanwyck one, which is pretty bad too. And it came nowhere near A Night to Remember, which is the best of
English.
the Titanic ones. And this whole idea that this willowy poet, Leonardo DiCaprio, is playing a street thug, and you have this street thuggy looking guy playing the Wall Street broker. I'm like, what an example of miscasting. And then at the end of it, when she gets that diamond necklace, which is awful, it's just like the one that Rob Petrie buys by Laura Petrie in the Dick Van Dyke Show. When she gets this heirloom necklace and throws it overboard and disinherits her granddaughter that way without any explanation of what that granddaughter did that was so bad that she should be disinherited, I just thought, really, what a selfish old broad. I mean, and what a part of the story that we're missing. We need to see what that granddaughter did, that the grandmother felt it's so important to get on a cockamamie boat and throw a diamond necklace off the
And
edge.
I have read explanations of why Leonardo did not climb on the ice floe with her, that it would sink it or whatever. But it's still, there's been a subject of argument for 20 years about he was in the water. Why didn't he hang on to something?
Yeah.
But it would have destroyed, the story. What are your problems with it?
It's exactly what Dan just said. I don't buy Leonardo DiCaprio as this streetwise, no.
Not then, when he was the skinny little
Yeah,
thing.
no,
Now
he's
all
a
for
rail,
love.
and how old
Yeah.
was he? 19 or 20? I don't know.
Yeah,
how old
something
was
like that.
19,
Yeah.
20 at the time.
Certainly looked that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a kid, and that's fine. But just it was complete miscasting. I didn't believe it, and it's funny because I had a similar but different experience when I first went to go see it. I went with my friend Amanda, and she's not a sentimental. She wasn't a sentimental person. She's not in like, oh, I need to watch a film and cry and whatever. She just wanted to go see it. All right, fine, whatever. I almost burst into laughter at certain moments when they're like together and like he's drawing, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, when
what
he
is
takes her
this?
down to be with the real people
Yes,
and they do the
and
jig.
I'm like,
Yeah,
what
this-
am I
yeah.
watching? What is this? And she's just, oh, that's so nice. The tears like, oh god.
And Billy Zane was
Yes,
like, oh,
and-
how evil do you want me to be?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I
He was
didn't
good
buy
at
that.
Dead
Either.
Calm.
Yeah, he was.
Didn't buy that either. But it's one of those films where he's supposed to be this like ultimate sex symbol or whatever.
Yeah.
I guess, and I know
That scene in the car where they steamed up the windows was probably the best scene in the film.
Oh right, it's a
Yeah.
most memorable.
That's a remake
Yeah.
of a scene from Now Voyager.
Yes, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't.
nice.
My disbelief
Yeah.
didn't get suspended. I don't know. I
Absolutely.
just,
And,
yeah, I didn't
and
believe
as
it.
I mentioned before, maybe before we started, that the cheesy it was all about the special effects, all
Yes.
the money and all the
Yeah, the
expertise.
money that was dumped into it
and then
for
you
special
watch it
effects,
and you're
yeah.
looking at the ship and you go, "That's pretty cheesy. That's pretty amateur."
Now,
Wow,
I mean,
it was
now,
20
this
years
early,
ago.
early
even
2000s,
then, even then, I'm sitting in the theater, and it's also I've only seen it once. And if it's on TV, it's like those films that you will watch over and over again. Like Planes,
Those-
Trains, and
yeah.
Automobiles.
Those special effects don't hold up.
No, they
It's
don't.
like watching Chariots of Fire, where you look at it and go, what were they thinking in 1982? They must have all had really good Coke. Because how
Well,
could
that
this
won
be
Best
in
Picture.
Truck fuel, Dan.
I've got
Yes.
it here.
Truck fuel. It's
I've
a
got it
line
here.
item.
But also,
Sound of Music beat. Oh, I already talked about that. Sorry. Gandhi beat Tootsie. Gandhi beat E.T. Beat Missing. Beat the Verdict. Gandhi. That overblown.
It's Richard Attenborough, and because he
God.
has a British accent, people in Hollywood feel inferior and they have to vote for him.
And
It's-
also-
it's the Brit rule.
And-
that
and-
we have to give homage to the Queen.
And
every
Ben
now
Kingsley in
then.
a diaper. So everybody
Yeah.
is
Yes.
like, oh, look, he turned himself into this Indian saint. And Gandhi was not a saint.
No.
I mean, what we know about Gandhi was he was quite the imperfect human being. Quite the imperfect human being. So, the Academy in Best Picture has a tendency, not always, but to vote sentimental, to vote political, to not always vote for the best film.
Right.
And and also, if you go down the line, I think where awards have the most merit, where they're awarded, are the supporting actor and actress.
Yeah.
They're not political, and when you look at the list of best supporting actor and actresses, you go, yes. Yeah, and then you look at the nominees, and because
And they're usually amazing.
amazing,
actor-
because
actors,
Hollywood
actresses,
loves
yeah.
its supporting actors. And I remember when I saw Usual Suspects,
Yes.
walked out of the theater and said to my kids,
Such a good movie.
Kevin Spacey's going to get an Oscar. And I remember when he won, I actually leapt off the couch and
no, he
jumping
totally
up and down. I
deserved
was
it.
so happy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Soze,
There you go.
that ending. The
There you
ending.
go.
You just like, I knew it. Like, you're
And
pointing
I-
at the screen.
And I really disagreed with Spotlight. I thought it could have been a lot better. It won over The Big Short, which I thought was a much better film. Have you seen it?
No.
Have you seen
Yeah,
it?
that's a good
It's
movie.
it's a good film. It's very
film.
well made. It was
You said the magic words. You said it's a good film.
Yeah.
That's wrong. When a film is good and it's not a definite recommend, it means it's So, 20 years
7
from
out
now,
of 10. Yeah.
20 years from now, when
See,
somebody
8 out of
says, name all the best pictures between 2010 and 2020,
That one might.
no one's
kinda
going to remember that
glaze
one.
over that one. That's fine.
Just like Shakespeare in Love.
I'm looking here at Best Supporting. I did my research.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
like
and
Marty.
you look at Hackman for The Unforgiven, Tommy Lee Jones, The Fugitive, Martin Landau, Ed Wood.
That was another good one. I loved Ed Wood.
You can't argue.
Yeah.
Cuba
So
Gooding
good.
Jr. and Jerry Maguire. I mean, he
So
hasn't done
also very
anything
good.
What
that.
did
Well-
he do with his career?
You know,
I mean,
some-
Both
Snow
hands,
Dogs.
both
Snow
hands.
Dogs. I mean,
Just threw it away.
I like that movie.
Snow Dogs?
But he was
really?
in both Red Tails movies.
All right. Were you
Oh,
like
Michael-
5 when you saw that?
Michael Caine and Hannah and her sisters. You know, this man hopelessly in love
Yes.
with his sister-in-law.
Yeah.
The changes that he has to go through. I mean, I really think that the Academy has its feet on the ground when they look at the supporting.
Yeah.
But then it becomes political: best actor,
Oh,
best
of
actress,
course.
and
Hurt
director.
Locker. That's another one. That got a little. That got. I think was just. It deserved it because it was a really good film, but it also I couldn't help but notice that Catherine Bigelow was sitting right behind her ex-husband who was right here,
Yeah.
and then they literally like as soon as she got it, right to both
Well,
of them. Not to
Yes.
her. Not to her.
they
Not
got,
to her.
yes, no, you had to
celebrating
get that wonderful moment.
both of them, and
Yeah.
him just like
Yeah,
get the camera off me. Like, what are you doing?
really.
Yeah, it was
Well,
great.
Well, I thought that was the second greatest moment in Academy Award.
It
What's
was
the
it was
first?
really
The-
good.
the- well, actually, there was three great
Really
moments.
amazing.
That was one of them.
That's amazing.
The second one was probably when Olivia de Havilland won for The Heiress, and Joan Fontaine gets up to congratulate her, and Olivia de Havilland just turns around and walks the other.
The sisters who were feuding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Right. Oh, that's a great performance. Oh God, I watched The Heiress again last couple of weeks ago. Her performance is absolutely amazing. She goes from this naif, from this innocent woman who wants love and has this overattachment to her father, to that last scene where she closes the curtains and he's banging on the door, and there's a hardness, almost a bitterness. You know, like she's faced reality. She'll never. All I can think of is, what is your future going to be like? Is this your life from now on? Will you ever let a man in? You know. So, yeah, movies. We love them. And we love our Unscripted Network. Please like and subscribe. If you're enjoying what we're talking and arguing about here, it's all in good fun. Because we do love the movies, and we love show business, and we love our variety show, Quiet on the Set. And so we hope that you like and subscribe so you can have a regular viewing and listening. So, onward.
What are your thoughts on Marty? I
was
know
like
you
the-
didn't even remember that movie existed.
No, of course I did. Of course I did. I saw it. What do I think about it? I think it like elevated the unattractive. Well, first of all, it's Patty Chayefsky, so you
It
can't.
was 2 years after Shirley Booth and Come Back Little Sheba.
Yeah, like the dowdy, you know. And what do I think about it? I think it was probably wonderful on TV, and it's still very moving. It's still very moving about two people finding each other, and he's, you know, Marty, why are you gonna get married, Marty? You know, that's his mother, right? And then his Angie. I don't know, Marty. I don't know, Angie. What do you want to do? It's very much of a piece of New York and of a character. But what it did was, it was like when Hoffman started the anti-hero thing, the not always good-looking hero. It was what Borgnine did, was he was a hero in this film. He's a good man who just wanted to have love and settle down, get married, and have kids. What do you think about it?
I really like it, but it's so slight today that when you look at it, it's just
It's TV.
what happened. How did this win so many awards? But what I find fascinating about it is that the guy who wrote that wrote Network.
Yeah. And the hospital, Hospital, Liberty
and you
Hospital.
see that level
Yeah.
of variety in one writer.
Yeah, my late husband was a screenwriter and a playwright, and when Chayefsky died, he cried. He wept when he died, because he died he was in his 40s. Died way too young.
Wow.
Way too young.
Didn't Ron Steiger do the TV role?
Yes, Rod Steiger did the TV role.
I
Yeah.
actually liked his performance better than
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
It was
He-
60 minutes versus an hour and an hour and 35 minutes.
That
So,
might have
That's
been a factor.
interesting.
yeah.
That's interesting. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor in On the Waterfront, along with Lee J. Cobb, and somebody else won. Let me look up to see who else won.
He won for In the Heat of the Night.
Yes, he was wonderful.
And that was the year when you had a huge controversy because Sidney Poitier was his emergent year, and he wasn't nominated for anything. He was in The Heat of the Night. He was in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, and he
Right.
was in To Serve with Love.
Oh, he was amazing. Edmund O'Brien in 54 beat Rod Steiger and Lee J. Cobb for Best Supporting.
Well, he's
and,
great.
and sometimes the vote gets split.
He was really good in Barefoot Contessa.
Yes, yeah, he won for Barefoot Contessa. Yeah, he was really good. And then one of my favorite Best Supporting Actor wins was Jack Lemmon in Mr. Roberts.
Yes.
That last scene when he says, "I threw your stinking palm tree."
Yeah.
He
What's
has
this
this.
about no movies tonight?
Yes, and he has this naivete when the laundry explodes. I
Right.
mean, he has a character arc that's really, really, really awesome. And of course, Henry Fonda, you know, the greatness of stillness of great actors. You know, that he was able to create this persona, and all the men loved him, and he had a center. He had a very strong center. He was a leader of men. That's what he was. And all he wanted to do was to be where the action was. And then he goes and he gets killed.
I like William Powell in that too.
Yes, wasn't he wonderful?
Yeah.
The drinks they made, that was the camaraderie of the military in the face of insanity, with James Cagney as the captain of that supply ship. You know,
Who are some of the Best Actor or Best Actress awards that you've seen that you thought, how
Interesting.
did that happen?
That's all you can say. Oh, that's interesting. How did that happen? That's a good one. What is here?
I have a list here. I'm looking.
My big one, of course, is 54, when Grace Kelly won for Country Girl.
Over.
And Judy Garland in The Star is Born.
Oh.
Now, Star is Born's hard to watch because it's so endless, but there's no question that St. Judy gave just the most amazing performance in it. And when you look at the Country Girl today, yes, Grace Kelly was supposed to be unattractive because she was wearing a sweater,
Oh,
and
God.
she would wear these granny glasses, and
She had those bones. She was beautiful.
And then, of course, she does the Dorothy Malone thing in The Big Sleep, where she takes off her glasses, fluffs her hair a little bit, and then all of a sudden she's Grace Kelly again. And so it's really not that great a film.
Yes.
And I don't think a lot of people remember The Country Girl today, except as
Shirley
that
Booth
footnote.
should have played that role or something. Somebody who
Yes,
really
it
played.
needed to be someone who was playing.
Plain. Bing Crosby won Best Actor for Going My Way. He beat Cary Grant, who did a serious role in None But the Lonely Heart, and Charles Boyer in Gaslight. I mean,
Well,
yeah,
Charles Boyd's kind of obvious in Gaslight.
yeah.
But then again, that was the first. And if it wasn't for Gaslight, there wouldn't be Lifetime movies right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Women in Jeopardy.
Did Samuel Jackson or Tarantino not Tarantino? Excuse me.
Travolta?
Travolta. Did they get nominated for Pulp Fiction at all?
Um,
Either one of them for
what year was that?
that would have been 94.
94.
94.
I don't think they did.
No.
I don't think they were even.
No, they were not
Yeah,
nominated.
they weren't even considered.
Okay.
That was a WTF. Like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, William, I'm looking.
That's
Well, you know, a lot of these. Yul Brynner for The King and I. He beat James Dean for Giant, Laurence Olivier for Richard III.
And think about it. You had an African American guy playing a Russian guy playing a Thai guy. It's again like Courage of Lassie, where you have a male dog playing a female dog playing a male dog, where he was just doing these multiple different ethnic roles.
It's funny.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Charlton Heston beat Jack Lemmon in Some Like It Hot. You know, comedies. It's
Well,
tough.
Yeah.
secretly, 59 was every bit as good a year as 39. And
Yeah,
even though Ben-Hur took it all, it was the year of North by Northwest. It was the year of Some Like It Hot.
Yeah.
So it was a really spectacular year.
I
For,
had-
a
Was
lot
that
of
Bridge
people
on the
were
River Kwai?
57.
Ben-Hur,
Bridget
Anatomy
River
of a Murder, Room at the Top, Diary of Vampire. Oh, The Nun Story. See, I think The Nun Story was a better film than Ben-Hur. I do.
Well, I think Ben-Hur doesn't hold up.
No, it doesn't hold up, except for the chariot race.
Well, Charlton Heston's great in it. I mean,
Yes,
he
he is.
exudes star persona, and all you need to see what star persona is, just look at the new one.
Yeah.
And you see the difference between someone
Absolutely.
who has star persona and someone who looks good playing a vampire.
And you know they CGI'd the hell out of that, out of the chariot
Oh,
race
yeah.
in the new one,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they didn't have it then. And Yakima Canutt, the greatest stuntman who ever was, he was the main stuntman, and he was the stunt coordinator and all of that. And no one was hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, no animals
it
were
wasn't,
hurt.
None of the. Yeah, there was no cruelty or anything. So I don't understand
It's
why they.
amazing when
yeah.
you to watch it. You know, it's a brilliant editing, of course, because they shot for like weeks. You know, films
Yeah,
are made in the editing room, people. We all know that. Well, we all know that.
And then again, William Wyler was no slouch as a director, so he was able to breathe some life into what was really kind of, no.
What, Ben-Hur?
Yeah, because Ben-Hur is very meretricious.
Yeah.
And plus you have Hara Reed in it. At least when they did Ten Commandments, you had both Yvonne DiCarlo and Ann Baxter. So, you couldn't go wrong there.
I used to like Edward G. Who did Edward G. Robinson play?
Data.
Moses, you think you're going to get across the desert? Think again.
Vincent Price playing Baka. Because, Baka means stupid in Japanese. So whenever we'd see that in the theater in Japan, the audience would bust out laughing when that subtitle would come out. Yep.
That's hilarious. Yeah. But I think then the supporting categories, this is where there's real merit.
Yeah.
And last year's Spotlight won, and I didn't think it was that good a film.
No,
It could
forgettable.
have been better. It's very forgettable.
Very forgettable.
And Mark Ruffalo, thank God he didn't win. I think it was Best Actor, Best Supporting. I can't
Supporting,
remember.
think, right.
Because, okay, here's the thing. As an actor, this is what he did. He went and he met with the real reporter. And the real reporter, has a funny way of talking, like has little tics or whatever it is, And he said, "Oh, I got to be like him," but we don't know who this guy is. It wasn't like he was playing somebody that we know, their speech patterns and how they talk. So all it was, whenever he was on screen, I found him so annoying. And he's saying to myself, "I'm an actor, and I am portraying this person authentically rather than just speaking normally." Yeah. Did you? What was your
Yeah, well, I had the same feeling for him as I had when I saw Paul Newman in Somebody Up There Likes Me. Now, admittely, that was early in Paul Newman's career,
Right.
but when you see him have that Brooklyn accent,
Yeah.
it's like, no,
I know,
stop it.
Yeah, you Paul, you can't do this. It's not in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It's not in your wheelhouse. I heard James Dean was supposed to play that.
Yeah.
But he died. Got himself killed in a car wreck. What was Spotlight up against? Oh, The Big Short, The Revenant, The Martian, Fury Room. Oh, and I saw Brooklyn the other night. I saw Brooklyn. It was beautifully shot.
I thought Brooklyn was really good, but it's another movie. It might as well have been on PBS.
It might have been on PBS, and it was also, she's a very still and self-contained character. Too much, way too much, and there's no real conflict.
I mean, in the
And
80s,
these two
there was
men,
this
these two
wonderful
men who
movie.
love her were like perfect men.
In the 80s, there was this wonderful movie, TV movie called Evergreen, based on the Belleville Plain khaki bestseller.
Oh.
And it covered the exact same territory, and it was so much more lively.
I think I saw that. The Belleville, yes.
Or think about Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
Oh yes. Oh, Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Oh, James Dunn won for Best Supporting Actor. That was. Oh, so that's a wonderful book and a wonderful movie. The thing about it is, the camera's in love with Saoirse Ronan. She's a wonderful actress. Wonderful. She was in The Lovely Bones,
Yes.
which was the book was better. The book it
And
was
Atonement.
and Atonement. She's the little girl.
She's
Oh
the
yeah.
sister, yeah.
Yeah, oh God, she's so good. But the camera's in love with her. And the one part of the movie is saying to the audience, be in love with her with us in this very slight story that has very little conflict. She meets an Italian guy. She has dinner with the family. This is in the 50s. She comes from Ireland to Brooklyn. There's no conflict at all. They love her. The guy, Tony, her boyfriend, is so understanding and wonderful. And then she goes back to Ireland because her sister dies. And her mother's there, and there's this like wealthy guy and she doesn't tell anybody she's married. They get married secretly before she leaves, and then she realizes, oh, I have to get back because she's been lying to everybody. And so it's a very, very slight story that is beautifully photographed, and every time she's on screen, you can't take your eyes off of her. So just for that alone. But it was nominated for Best Picture, and it's really fluff in the end.
It's slight.
It's slight, but it's got beautiful production values. The costuming and the casting and all of that. And so sometimes I think the Academy falls in love with the way things look. It's a very subjective thing, isn't it? I loved The Deer Hunter. I really loved it, and I know that wedding scene goes on. But if you watch it again, you kind of understand why. Michael, what's his last name? Cimino. He just died. He was very short. What he was doing. I mean, he went balls to the wall. He was not afraid to go balls to the wall, was he?
That's why Thunderbolt and Lightfoot is his greatest film.
Isn't that a great movie? That's Clint Eastwood and Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, thank you very much, Michael.
No,
Are we
thank you.
done?
Yes.
Oh, we're having
And
such a good
thank you very
time.
much,
I didn't
Richard.
even-
Good. Have we
Thank
plugged?
you. Please
Did
come
we-
in.
Did we plug?
Now, if you can do the plug this time,
Oh,
as
yes.
one of our emeritus,
Do
our former
remember to
department
like and subscribe just as you would Fun with Flags. Okay.
Yes.
chair. And Michael, if
Unscripted
you could
network.
give us another plug for your network.
Yes. You could probably find me at Hitfix or uprocks.com. That's where I'll probably be. Most likely.
Oh, this is Saran Fox,
Dan Watanabe.
and
Richard
this has
Holdredge.
Michael
Michael,
Gonzalez.
and this has been Dan and Saran Take on Hollywood. Till next time.